Hey guys, Simon Bryson here, and today I want to talk about the pros and cons of leasing versus financing or buying a vehicle. Now, as you guys probably know, everyone on YouTube says the same thing, and I read articles on it also that say, hey, leasing is one of the most expensive ways to actually own a vehicle or drive a vehicle because basically you don't actually own anything, okay? So the goal for this video is to show you all the math behind those numbers and to find out exactly, is it really more expensive? Is it actually more convenient? And which one is best? Do I lease? Do I buy or do I finance? Which one is the best way to go out there and drive the vehicle I actually want to drive? Now, if you guys don't know me, my name is Ty Bryson and I post videos on YouTube every single day. So make sure to also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you get notified. On top of that, also destroy the like button so you get notified every time I post a new video every single day. I think I said that backwards, but you guys get the point. Now, let's get started. Now, the first thing is basically buying versus leasing. But the first thing I want to do is basically define each of these right here. Although I know you guys might already know it, I just want to make sure everyone is on the same page. Whenever you go out there and you lease a vehicle, you basically pay to rent the vehicle, also pay for the depreciation of the vehicle, because basically when you have a car, it loses value and you have to pay that value that you're actually losing to the entire dealer. On top of that, you also pay a few other fees. So the whole goal is basically you're kind of like renting, but also covering all the costs of like, hey, depreciation and all that stuff. But whenever you go out there and you actually buy a vehicle, you finance it, all you have to do is pay for the interest and pay the money you owe back. And then basically you get to actually own the vehicle. And that's the main difference when it comes to like, hey, I'm going to lease. Hey, I'm going to buy. And by the way, when you lease a vehicle, you're not going to own it. You have to give it back, okay? That's the entire thing here. Now, when it comes to the pros of actually going out there and leasing a vehicle, the main pros are basically you get to drive a brand new vehicle. That's awesome, right? And also, you get a lower monthly payment, which is actually awesome also. So you pay a lot less than you actually do by owning a vehicle, by actually financing a vehicle. And also, you actually get to take the hassle out of actually owning a vehicle for a very long time, since in reality, you're going to be switching vehicles probably every 3 years or so. And that way, you're not worried about like, hey, the car broke down, something's gonna happen to it, because usually it's going to be within warranty. So everything is gonna be fine. But the main cons of actually going out there and leasing a vehicle, you have some restrictions and also some fees. For example, you have fees like, for example, when you drive the lot, you have to pay for that also for the first time. And also when you return the vehicle, you also pay a fee for returning the vehicle. Also, you have restrictions of how many miles you can actually go. So if you actually violate that, you might be paying a little bit more when you actually go ahead and return the vehicle. And also, you don't own the vehicle once you're done, okay? You can buy it if you want to for market price, but you don't own it. You don't own anything. All you're doing is basically paying to rent it and covering the cost of depreciation. That's all you're really doing when it comes to leasing a vehicle. Plus, you pay fees and stuff like that. We all know that. Now, when it comes to the pros and cons of actually going out there and buying a vehicle, the main pro is that basically you get to buy a car and you're on your way to actually owning it by financing it, right? Also, it's your car, no restrictions, you do whatever you want with your car. And on top of that, usually buying a car is going to be cheaper than leasing. Don't worry, I'm gonna do the math to that later on in the video in like a few seconds or so. On top of that, when it comes to the cons of actually owning a vehicle, well, the idea is that you're going to be paying a lot more on a monthly basis to actually own that vehicle. The payments are going to be higher. Also, you're buying a depreciating asset, so it does lose value. We all understand that, but in reality, by leasing, you're still paying for that value. It's losing anyways, okay? And on top of that, because you are buying for usually a longer period of time, you might have to cover anything that does happen to a vehicle. For example, it breaks down or it needs to fix something. We all know cars have little things you need to fix every now and then, and sometimes bigger things if you don't really take care of it and maintain the vehicle. And obviously, when you look at it like this, guys, okay, the pros and cons of leasing and buying, obviously, leasing looks like a more convenient way to own a new vehicle, change it out every 3 years, and basically have no hassle whatsoever. And in reality, it's a luxury to be able to do that. And that's why usually it's going to be more expensive and it's going to cost you more money than it's actually going to cost you to just go out there and buy a vehicle. Now, although on the surface level, it looks like, hey, when I lease a vehicle, the payments are lower. So in reality, I'm going to save more money. In reality, how much you actually pay monthly does not equal exactly the value and how cheap something actually is. In reality, it can be more expensive, although you're paying less money every single month. And that's why right now I'm going to go over an example of two people buying the same car, but one is leasing and one is actually trying to buy it by financing the car. We're going to do it basically on a 6-year period, which means that basically the first person is going to get 2 cars in 6 years by leasing every 3 years, and the second person is basically going to go ahead and buy the vehicle and finance it over a 5-year period. And we're going to compare it and find out exactly which one is cheaper and which one is actually more expensive. Leasing or actually going out there and financing to own a vehicle. Now, person A, let's just say her name is Karen, right? Now, Karen wants to go out there and buy a vehicle. It costs $30,000, but she can't afford it. So basically, she says, hey, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and lease it. It's going to be a lower monthly payment, so why not? And that way, in 6 years, I can basically have this car, for 3 years, and then have another car in another 3 year also. So in reality, I get to always, in a way, drive around in a new car for a very low amount of money every single month. Now again, let's assume this car costs around $30,000. So in reality, Karen is going to be paying around $300 per month. And on top of that, when she drives off the lot, there is a drive-off fee of around $1,200. Okay, that's the entire idea. So let's do the math of Karen actually leasing this vehicle for the first 3 years. Okay, again, she's going to be paying $300 every single month for the next 3 years. Now, as we know, 3 years equals 36 months. 12 months times 3 equals 36 months. So this number right here, $300 per month on the lease, multiplied by 36 is going to give us $10,800. But on top of that, the drive-off fee is $1,200. By the way, I put 200 extra because basically, just in case he like drives a little bit more or whatever happens, just in case anything, you know. So in reality, plus $1,200 just in fees, right? So in reality, that's around $12,000 in the first 3 years. Now, in the second cycle, she gets another car, a brand new car. It's a 2023 model. Oh my God, this car is awesome. And I'm driving it around again just for $300, which means again, the same equation. $12,000 the first 3 years plus $12,000 the later 3 years, the second cycle, in reality adds up to around $24,000 in total over a 6-year period. And that's for Karen, the person actually going out there and leasing. Now, let's say, for example, we have Mary. Now, Mary wants to buy the same car. It's actually $30,000. It's a brand new car. It looks great. It looks awesome. Now, in reality, Mary is going to put down, for example, $8,000 on this $30,000 car. So in reality, she's just financing around $22,000 at a 3.11%, okay? And the math says that basically the payments are around $396 every single month for this car right here. So over a 5-year period, that's how much it's going to take her to actually pay it off in full. A 5-year period, that's around 16 months, she will pay around a total of $23,760 plus the $8,000 down payment that she actually put down. In reality, she spent around $31,760. Now, just by looking at this, obviously, leasing is less expensive because basically, leasing was minus $24,000. So in reality, leasing was $7,760 less expensive. But again, this is where things actually turn around, because basically on year 5 Mary was done, and on year 6, well, 5 to 6, basically she had no payment whatsoever, while Karen is getting ready for her next lease for the next 3 more years, which makes around 9 years total. But that's not the point, guys, okay? Because although Mary paid an extra $7,760 to actually buy the car, well, guess what? She actually owns the car. So as we know with depreciation, usually in the first 5 to 6 years, the vehicle is going to be worth around 50% less. So again, $30,000 for the vehicle multiplied by 0.50 means that the vehicle right now is only worth around $15,000, okay? Which means that if Mary goes ahead and sells the car, she can actually sell it for $15,000, which means she has all this value right here in her car that she actually owns. Although Karen on the other side doesn't have anything whatsoever, because basically she just leases / rents the vehicle but doesn't own it whatsoever. So when you take the $24,000 lease and you minus it from the $15,000 value she actually has, well, in reality, $15,000 minus $24,000 gives you a $9,000. Okay, so obviously, when it comes to putting it like this is why buying a car is going to be cheaper than actually leasing, because in the end, you still have value in that car, while leasing means that you don't have any value whatsoever. But the pro is that basically, while Mary still owns the same car, she can ride it for around 10 more years without any payments, okay? It's her car, does whatever she wants with it. But Karen can go out there and basically get a new car every 3 years. And the idea is that that is a luxury. But because it is a luxury, it is always going to be more expensive to lease a vehicle than it is to go out there and actually buy a vehicle over the long run. Because basically, in the first 6 years, well, guess what? Mary still has $15K in value, while Karen doesn't have anything whatsoever. And that's the entire point. The big difference is basically the equity Mary holds at the end of the entire loan period, while Karen doesn't have anything whatsoever. So overall, if you ask me, Tommy, lease or go ahead and buy, the answer is buying is going to be basically a lot cheaper over that 5 to 6 year period, because basically you still have that car, you still own it, you can always go ahead and sell it because it's yours. And after those 5 years, you can still drive it for another 10 years without making a single payment. And to me, that is awesome. But Karen does get to drive around in a car every 3 years that she doesn't own. But guess what, Karen? If you lose your job, those payments are still going to be coming in. And if you can't afford it, they will take that car away. Okay? Just keep that in mind. And you will be paying some fees also. So also, keep that in mind, Karen. And guys, before I go, I just want to answer these 3 questions that I know people are going to have in the comments down below. The first question is, yeah, Tommy, but I can always go ahead and buy the lease vehicle once I'm done with it. But yeah, that's true, but it's still going to be more expensive because basically the first 3 years, you basically just rented it. You just basically put all the money and it just went away and it's not in the value of the car anymore, okay? So even once you buy that vehicle and you might basically finance it for like 5 years, in reality, is still going to be more expensive than just like buying the vehicle in the first place. The second question is basically, Tommy, but what about opportunity cost on that $8,000 you put down? If you had invested it instead of actually putting it down for the car, you can actually make more money. In reality, no. If you do the math, the interest is so minimal, minus the inflation, that your investments and your car loan is kind of like the same thing in a sense, okay? So it doesn't really make that big of a difference, but a big difference is basically once that car is paid off, you basically have all that extra money to put towards your investments. So in a way, it's not a good argument. It's like, hey, opportunity cost, this and that. No, it's not. It's not a good argument because basically with the lease, you will always have that cash flow tied up because basically you will never be done paying that car because guess what? You're renting it. You don't finish paying what you're renting. You just never get it. And also, the last question is basically depreciation. But Tommy, the car is going to depreciate if you buy a new car over the long period of time. It's a depreciating asset. The answer is yes. But in reality, if you're going to buy a car, you're going to buy a car. It's going to depreciate either way. There's no way around it. Unless you're buying like a $2 million classic car, it's going to depreciate no matter what. And even while leasing, you're still covering the depreciation. So you might as well just get your own car, and that's a better outlook. And by the way, guys, the best way to buy a car is to use this information right here and basically buy a car that's 5 years old for a 50% discount. Buy it cash, avoid all the fees, you own that car and you ride it for 10 years or so, and you basically slow down depreciation because after 5 years, depreciation actually slows down. Again, depreciation looks like this. There's a scale, it's a graph right here. It goes like this. So it's really high in the beginning, like this, high in the beginning, but it slows down when it's going to the end of the entire car life, okay? So after 5 years, it's like 50% discount. And to me, that's awesome. And that's what I'm going to do when I'm going to buy my first car. And by the way, if you don't have all the money to buy the car you want to buy, well, in reality, you can't afford it. Just make a savings goal until you can actually go ahead and buy it. If you want to finance it, just make sure you understand that there is cost when it comes to financing, and it's going to cost you money, and it's also you going into debt. So keep that in mind. The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to make a savings goal and buy the car I want to buy in cash. If I need a car right now at this moment, I would just probably go around and buy a beater car for like $1,000 while I save the money to actually buy the car I actually want to buy on the side. But guys, that's about it for this video. Comment down below and let me know if this video helpful. On top of that, if you disagree with me, comment down below and let me know why. Do you want to lease a car? Do you want to buy a car? What exactly do you want to do? Or by the way, Do you not even want a car? So why are you watching this video? Okay, so just comment down below and let me know. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like this video if you liked it. And top of that, also subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified. And if you want to talk to me or text me, just subscribe to my Patreon, link down below. Or for example, DM me on Instagram, Time Bryson. And before I go, if you want to watch a video on basically how to buy a luxury vehicle for a very low price and then return it and basically get all your money back, well, watch this video right here. See you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and as always, peace.